What's up, guys and gals, and welcome to Veve Vibes, where I love talking all things Veve NFTs, speculation, and of course the market. So if you guys know me, I'm generally pretty positive, but also just very realistic in general when it just comes to investing NFTs, just Veve in general, when it comes to the projects that they have coming up and around the corner, all kinds of stuff. And I think that's one thing I have been complimented on, is just being positive, but also just realistic with a lot of things. I will be honest, I'm not too happy. After reflecting for quite some time, I'm honestly not too happy with Veve has done with the whole FE change, as well as the CE. Honestly, I think it's a bit of a mistake. I have watched Andrew Ellis's video. I've actually watched Rob Stuff's video more recently. I think me and Rob have a lot of stuff in common when it comes to the thought process, also just the market in general. And I would have to agree with Rob. I think if anything, it's a mistake, but it's also just wrong. Veve just to change people's NFTs, change tags. Honestly, I had no idea that Veve, and I know they've had history before of changing the Captain America tag, but I did not know that they could just adjust metadata on a whim based on things that are already minted. I had no idea. Again, this is not an intention to spread FUD, but this is just merely just how I feel. I brought up 5, but it's probably closer to like 7 or 8 different bullet points I just had about general thoughts of this, and it's not really an organized, like, super coherent argument, but I do think a lot of it kind of ties together, and I just wanted to bring up some points and just see if it resonates with you guys as well, because I'm not a huge fan of these changes. I know a lot of people during the AMA, some people even said, like, hey, we asked for this. We asked for Veve to clarify the FA, the FE, and the CE tag, which is true. But I don't think we asked Veve to basically just make wide sweeping changes to NFTs that have already been minted or have already had these FA or FE tags or CE tags for months, if not over a year. Some of these NFTs have had it for over a year, and it just seems strange that these NFTs that we invested in are just now changing all of a sudden. The first thing I will admit, like, I am a bit biased. Like, yeah, I have been affected by these changes. Like, I own a Steamboat Willie. I'll show it here. I actually made this tweet not too long ago. While you're stressing if your NFT is FA, FE, or CE to give it significance and value, and I tagged Foster Hilton and everyone else, no tags needed. So I bought Steamboat Willie, or actually I won him on drop, but I didn't sell him, knowing full well that he wasn't going to get a tag. Anyone that bought it because they thought it was going to get an FE tag at some point, I think it's kind of a poor investing strategy for the most part. But as you can see, it's 23 likes. It's got a retweet actually from one of the Veve mods in, like, the Discord. She's actually the one that kind of came up with the meme in the first place, and I asked her if I could use it. She said, yeah. I thought it was kind of funny, but it's true. I don't think Steamboat Willie needs a tag regardless, but I know some people might use that against my argument, but Steamboat Willie never had a tag, never meant to have a tag, and so that's one thing I didn't mind about investing in or changing. But regardless, I was affected by these changes as well. I'm going to show you guys another example here in a little bit, but the one thing that I was upset about was after they did the article, they actually added more NFTs to the list hours and hours after they did the article. If you guys actually see here, this is actually me. This is my video I made literally just the other day. This was about 3:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I believe. So this was like 2 or 3 hours after they released the article on their website, or on, like, the Medium website. And as you guys can see here, if you guys didn't know, they actually added Mickey hat, Pizza Planet truck, as well as the skateboard hours and hours after the drop. So this is kind of the example I wanted to show you guys. So, like, I actually dropped this video at about 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, and actually ended up buying an NFT. I actually ended up buying, of course it's closed, I actually ended up buying a Mickey Sorcerer's hat about 30 minutes after this video. I saw that it was going for super cheap. I knew it was undervalued. Even in my tier list video, I think I put the Mickey Sorcerer's hat as like the number 4 spot overall, just below basically Walt, R2-D2, and Elsa. And yeah, so I bought it knowing full well that, hey, I did this video 30 minutes ago saying, oh, I don't see the Mickey hat on there. I don't see any golden moments on there. So it's probably a good time to buy those up, or at least the ones that are, those objects or whatever. And it wasn't on the list, so I guess Veve isn't considering them actual NFT items. But as you can see on the list, they've actually updated it. So I'll go back to this list here. If we scroll down, all of a sudden, now the Mickey hat is here. Now the Pizza Planet truck is here. Now the skateboard is here. So I really think, like, this is kind of one of the things I wanted to kind of call Veve out on. Is just like, they just need to do a bit more due diligence and, like, making sure if they do release articles like this that will have a significant impact on potentially the value, the importance, and the way we perceive these NFTs, that they make sure that, like, all the NFTs are actually up there, especially since we're in a space now where basically people make snap make a decision within even just a few seconds or even a few minutes of when they get information, because sometimes prices just skyrocket. They go up and down. I mean, we can see with a lot of the golden moments, a lot of other NFTs, that sometimes they just go up 50, 20%, 200% within 15 minutes. So it's like a lot of the people are trying to make money on here, or try to leverage the fact as much as they can about these tags. So again, that was one thing I was not a big fan of. But in general, I think the biggest issue is just like they just changed the tags in general. Honestly, I think these changes never should have been made. I think the current NFTs should have just been left the way they were. I think they should have just said, hey, we realize we made some mistakes when it comes to the NFT labeling when it first happened here. But you know what? Because all of you guys are early adopters, all of you guys are OG investors. I mean, we're a little over a year in right now. We're just going to leave the tags as they are. And then going forward, this is how we're going to label stuff. And I think they should have still had those examples on there. Like, hey, by the way, if we release another DeLorean, or if there's another vehicle released, it'll be FE. But if it's a second release, like if we did another DeLorean, it has no tag, that kind of stuff. They could have at least shown examples going forward. Like, hey, if we release this and that, this is what it's going to be like in the future. But I'm not a huge fan of that. Basically, these NFTs, people invested in these NFTs based on the fact that they're FA or CE or FE, whatever it is. And the fact that they're changing all these, not a huge fan of, especially supposed to be that these are NFTs. These are supposed to be unchangeable, ingrained in like the metadata, that we can't change this information, but apparently they can if you're Veve. And like I said before, people invest in these NFTs as they were labeled for months. It's almost like going to the store, buying a 6-pack of beer, and then you come back home and it's only a 4-pack. And then you call up the company like, hey, what's going on? Like, oh, by the way, like, it just wasn't consistent with like, more recently we started coming out with a 4-pack of beers, and like we don't want to do 6-packs anymore, so we actually had to like move it down. Like we're like, well, I purchased a 6-pack, that's what it was, that was on the label, that was what it was. And like, well, I don't know what to tell you. So maybe that's a good or a bad example, not entirely sure, but it's like basically people are just not getting what they paid for, especially when they know like it's something that shouldn't be changed, like that's inherently to an NFT, right? The other thing too is just like, I think actually could have added some novelty if they just let the old school NFTs, so all the NFTs up to this point, just let them keep their tags. So let the DeLorean keep its tag, the Ecto 1, all that other stuff. If they just let them keep their tags, I think that would be kind of like a novelty thing. Like, hey, like a lot of the early adopters were on Veve. They were here, all these NFTs were released pre-tag update. So basically, like I said, the DeLorean, a lot of the independent artist stuff, like it's cool that those would just have like the FA tags. Would have confused some people, like maybe, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they could just put out announcements, say, hey, this is what's gonna happen going forward. We're starting a new season today. So everything that is season 4 and earlier, that was pre-FE tag update, whatever it was. So again, not a fan of this. Like I said before, I'm actually kind of more in line of what Rob Stuff is agreeing with. Like a lot of people spent money on these NFTs based on how they were. And I said this even yesterday too, and I still believe it. This whole FE thing is going to be pretty short-lived. People are going to realize like, okay, basically FE is going to be the new FA tag, a lot of these NFTs. But still, this article itself just caused a lot of people to just panic sell, panic buy, switch this, switch that, flipping things around, Captain Carter getting skyrocketed and all that stuff. So again, maybe it's not so much like the fact that they changed the tags, but it's the fact that that they can change information on the NFTs, and we don't really have much control over it, which kind of leads me up to my next point. Honestly, in a way, this is kind of a terrible look on Veve, especially since they've been recently called out by other NFT projects for not being true NFTs or whatever, but even especially by the Veve community, like, hey, do we really even own these NFTs? Like people are asking for the keys and stuff like that to these NFTs, which I kind of get the gist of. I'm still not in full understanding of like what it means to have the keys, I guess, full access to it, or like be able to keep it in a safe where like they can't be manipulated by Veve or some other blockchain company or something like that. So again, not fully understanding that, but like if I could find a way to like lock away some of my NFTs so they aren't vulnerable to apparent future changes, like I would do that, to be quite honest. And so again, I don't think it's a good look that like even just less than a week ago, we had people in the community complaining like, hey, we're getting locked out of our accounts, we can't access our NFTs. Do we really even own our NFTs? And now they kind of come out with this saying, oh yeah, all of your FAs are changing to FEs and this is changing and we're reverting this back. Especially since just the lack of consistency, right? I'm going to talk about the whole black and white thing a bit later, but I mean, I'm more concerned about the ability to basically change your NFTs, not give consistent and accurate information on the front end, especially when it comes to these articles. Like we get an article, we get some information, we're like, okay, cool, these are all the NFTs that change, but they do basically a ghost patch and not notify us. They say, hey, by the way, we forgot the golden moments, this, and this. They didn't even notify us that. They just put it in there after the fact. And it's something I didn't even notice until I watched other videos later in the day, where after I bought Sorcerer's Hat, I thought so was still going down. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's happening. And then people are like, oh, Mickey hat got changed. I'm like, did it? Because when I did the video, it wasn't changed. At least it wasn't on the article, but now it is. So I really wish like Veve was just more transparent. They're like, hey, we made a mistake, we're gonna update this. Or like, by the way, we left off golden moments on this. We apologize, whatever. But again, not a huge fan of that. Also, just it seems like the lack of care and like disregard for OG investors in these NFTs is honestly kind of concerning. It's kind of weird how they gave a hand wave to the black and white series. They're like, look, all the black and white series stuff probably shouldn't have had all the FA and like the FE tags involved, but we're going to leave them because we don't want to remove the tags. We want to, you know, keep them because we know out of respect, we want to keep those there. But it's strange. It's like out of respect for the black and white series, we're not going to remove the tags, but you know, for the OG investors, but all the other OG investors, nah, like we're going to change the tags, we're going to move them. So it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And this is honestly the exact reason why I'm not really big on like the Master Collector program. Like they've already changed it twice. As far as I know, like the first set was kind of like, it was more about collecting sets. So people were probably spending money collecting entire sets of comics. And then they come out with a new update like, oh yeah, by the way, now you're not going to get a bonus for collecting a set of comics. You're just going to get a lot of points for getting secret rare as well as like rares and stuff like that. But all of a sudden now collecting the set isn't as valuable as just stacking rares or stacking something else. So it's like, again, that's why I'm not too bullish on the idea of MCP, because they've already changed it. And now that they've already kind of pulled this, now changing NFTs themselves, like I'm not exactly sure. Like I'm not making any moves for MCP until they finalize it in concrete. And even then I might still wait a day or two because they might make mistakes and update it later. And then people are going to start spending a bunch of gems on like this and that, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we forgot to do this. Oh yeah, by the way, we meant to actually update this of set bonuses. And it's like, oh great, now the whole plan has changed. So I don't know, like it's at this point, it's just kind of hard to believe when Veve does like an update, especially when they do like a Master Collector program or these kind of like article updates, to believe it with like 100% certainty. And there's like no errors on the article either, because like I said here, like that's just the golden moments. I think there was probably some other NFTs too that were added that I just haven't seen yet, but that's just the main thing I noticed was just golden moments on top of that. But I don't know, it just seems strange that with the black and white series, they were really cautious about not removing the tags because they knew that would affect the value. But it just seems strange that they understand the importance and the potential like downgrade that removing tags would, but they should also understand the importance of changing tags on current NFTs from FA to FE. Like it just doesn't make sense that they understand the importance of removing a tag, but they don't understand the importance of moving a tag. In my opinion, they should have just left it as is, let the investors say, hey, we made a mistake, but we appreciate the fact that we understand that you guys have spent a lot of time and money on the app and in the community, and you guys invested in these NFTs as they are as an FA. We're going to leave those as is. And if anything, it's going to be kind of like a cool, like I said, novelty thing that they are still FA. Now going forward, the NFTs going forward are going to have these labels. And here's even a few examples of what that would look like with the current NFTs. Like we're not making these changes. Even if they did change Captain Carter to CE to FA or whatever, like I think in their mind, they knew what an upgrade was. Personally, they even said that FA supersedes CE because I guess in their mind, potentially it's an upgrade. So I think let those upgrades happen. Same thing with the Hawkeye poster. It went from basically a nothing to an FE. Like sure, let those things happen. Let those things upgrade, but don't downgrade stuff. It seems like they were cautious about not downgrading or removing tags, but except for all the FA and like the FE stuff. But yeah, so I know that was kind of a long tangent. I just probably rambled on about a whole bunch of different topics and like bullet points, but I hope some of those points like resonated with you guys. Even if most of it was gibberish, even if there was one line that kind of stuck with you, let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about all this at the end of the day. Again, I still think this whole FA-FAE thing is going to be, you know, it's going to blow over relatively soon and relatively recently, but at the same time, I just really hope like Veve does a better job of just giving us more accurate information on the front end. People are making purchasing decisions based on the information they release, and if there's information missing or omitted, or if there's mistakes, I think they should at least let us know. Or if they do make changes that are retroactive to things that are currently exist, that they kind of think in their mind, like, should we make this change or should we just move it going forward? Because it does sound like a lot of NFTs or a lot of NFT holders of like these OG you know, items and objects and all that stuff did kind of get screwed over for the most part. So that's just my personal opinion. Again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Hope you guys take care, and I'll catch you on the flip side.